Here we are on the steps of Bali.
Bali, Indonesia, an island that sells a dream, where last souls, burnt-out execs, and wide-eyed backpackers come chasing something. Peace, meaning, maybe just a good tan and a story to tell back home. But stay long enough, past the infinity pools and the resort walls, past the digital nomads and detox retreats, and you'll see it. The real Bali. The one that doesn't give a shit about your wellness journey. The one that has survived 1,000 years of kings, conquerors, and clueless tourists looking for authenticity. This is Bali, sacred and profane, a place where gods are fed first, where spirits move through the rice paddies, and old men still tell stories of when the streets weren't clogged with taxis and half-finished condos. The best food here doesn't come with a Michelin star. It comes from places like this. No reservations, no Instagram hype, just a guy who's been making the same dish for 30 years, who doesn't give a damn about influencer food bloggers. He cares about heat, spice, the balance of salt, fat, acid, smoke, about feeding the next person in line. This is what people should come here for. Not overpriced cocktails or some bullshit spiritual awakening, just this. A plate of something real. Something made with time, sweat, patience, something that doesn't need a narrative, it just is. If you come to Bali for the beaches, I have bad news. Most of them overcrowded, overdeveloped, and littered with the remains of last night's party. If you want real beaches, you have to work for them. Rent a bike, get lost. Head west to Madui, where the surfers chase long, lazy waves, or up north, where black sand and forgotten coastlines make you feel like you've stumbled onto the edge of the world. Then there's Canggu, Instagram's wet dream, a place where every other person is running a dropshipping business and every meal comes with a side of social validation. It's comfortable, sure, and easy, but is it Bali? Not really. More like LA with more humidity and worst Wi-Fi. You want Bali, the real one? It's in the villages, where life moves slow and traditions still mean something. It's in the temples, where ceremonies last for days and tourists are just background noise. It's in the ways the locals laugh. Go UK! Flanagan! Yes!
Fucking crazy steep. It's fucking wild.
It's really hot.
But the waters are there.
The way they carry the weight of this island with grace, watching as waves of outsiders come and go, chasing a version of Bali that doesn't exist.
Here we are in the jungle.
The jungle, the wild.
We're the only ones here for this view. Pretty fucking magical. This is only the first one.
If you come here, come with respect. Learn a few words of Bahasa. Don't haggle over pennies when you're spending $15 in cocktails. Cover up when you walk into a temple, and for the love of God, stop treating this place like your personal photo backdrop. Bali isn't here for your aesthetic. It's alive, breathing, complicated, and if you're willing to look past the curated fantasy, it might just show you something real. Bali will give you whatever you're looking for. The question is, what are you actually here for? The first scam starts before you even leave the airport. Taxi drivers here will charge you triple if they think you're dumb enough to pay for it. And the answer is, we were dumb enough to pay for it. And a lot of people are as well. Rule number 1, always negotiate. Rule number 2, download Gojek or Grab. If you can't be bothered, at least walk 100 meters outside the airport. Prices drop the second you leave the tourist hunting grounds. Now there's the classic scams. Sorry, temple closed today, but don't worry, my cousin has a special tour just for you. The translation is the temple is open. It's always open, they just want you to pay them instead of going in for free. If someone stops you before you even get there, smile, nod, and keep walking. Number 2, the scooter accident setup. Renting a scooter is the best way to see Bali. It's also the fastest way to lose $100 if you're not careful. The scam goes like this. You rent a bike, everything seems fine, but when you bring it back, suddenly there's a scratch that wasn't there before. And guess what? Now you owe them an absurd amount of money. How to avoid it? Take photos of the bike before you leave. every angle, every scratch. If they still try to pull one on you, threaten to call the police. Most of the time that they will back down. The Bali police have two types, the real ones and the ones who see tourists as walking ATMs.
It's dead. It's dead. Penalty. Because it's dead. On, continue.
Special price means tourist price. It's part of the game. And if you don't play, you'll pay 10 times what the locals do. Rule of thumb, start at half of whatever they quote you and work from there.
This one, 300 people.
Whoa, this is too much.
How much?
80.
Huh?
Because you started so high, so I must start somewhere here, and we meet somewhere where both of us say this is a good deal.
What size? Large?
Yeah, but what price? First the price and then the size.
Okay. 300.
No, then 40. My last price. We have a deal? 140?
If they don't budge, walk away. 9 times out of 10, they'll call you back with a better price. Some scams aren't just about money. Some are about safety. Drink spiking happens, people get robbed, don't take drinks from strangers, don't wander off alone with that friendly guy who just offered to show you a secret beach, and if something feels off, it probably is. Bali is beautiful, but like anywhere else, bad people exist. The trick is knowing when to let your guard down and when to keep your hand on your wallet. Here's the thing, most Balinese people are kind, generous, beautiful people. They aren't trying to rip you off, they're just trying to get by. The scams, they're just part of the ecosystem like any other country on this planet. They exist because people keep falling for them. So don't be scared, don't be that guy who refuses to trust anyone, just keep your eyes open. Be aware, be smart, and you'll be fine. Bali will still take your money, but at least you'll know when it's happening.
About to board the boat. Thoughts? That's it.
Bali's food is like the island itself, a mix of the sacred and the profane. On one end, you've got centuries of tradition, recipes passed down, spice blends perfected over generations, flavors that punch you in the mouth and leave you grateful for the beating. On the other, you've got smoothie bowls and overpriced fusion nonsense served to influencers who wouldn't know good food if it bit them in the ass. So what's actually worth eating? Let's get into it. The must-eats are going to include babi guling, the king of Balinese food. This is Bali's signature dish, suckling pig marinated in turmeric, stuffed with spices and roasted until the skin shatters like glass. It's a feast, meant for celebrations, and if you leave Bali without trying it, you've wasted your trip. Where to get it? Skip the tourist traps, head to Ibu Oka in Ubud, or small roadside warung where the pigs don't have Instagram pages. Then there's nasi campur. Isn't one dish, it's all the dishes. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. You don't order it, you just point at what looks good and let them pile your plate up like it's your last meal. Pro tip, find the busiest warung with the least amount of tourists. If a place looks too clean, too curated, too English friendly, you're in the wrong spot. Luar isn't for the faint of heart, it's raw and earthy. It tastes like the island itself. Bold, a little dangerous, and completely unforgettable. Some places serve a bloodless version for tourists. Ignore those places. If you're eating luar, eat it right. Now, what to avoid? Not everything in Bali is good. Some of it is a scam on your taste buds. Western food, usually terrible. If you're in Bali eating burgers and pasta, you've already lost. Stick to the local spots, eat what the Balinese eat, and you won't go home disappointed or broke. There's no denying it, Bali is at a crossroad. It wants to keep its identity, its soul, but money talks. And when the world keeps showing up, waving their dollars around, things change. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not. So what's the takeaway? Is Bali still worth visiting? Of course, but not for the reasons you think. Not for the beach clubs or the $5 massages, not for the Instagram shots or the spiritual awakening that conveniently happens between yoga sessions and overpriced smoothie bowls. Bali is still magic, still humbling, still bigger than the version you think you know. But it doesn't owe you anything. It's not here to serve you, to entertain you, to be your budget paradise or your eat, pray, love fantasy. You want to see the real Bali? Respect it. Step off the beaten path, eat where the locals eat, learn a few words in Bahasa, take your shoes off before entering a temple, show up with an open mind, and Bali will give you something back. Maybe not what you expected, maybe something better.
Taste those waters.
Bali is changing, it always will, but for those who know where to look, for those who are willing to see beyond the surface, it's still one hell of a place to lose yourself, and maybe even find something worth keeping. So is Bali worth visiting? You have to find out yourself. Thank you.
What a feast. What a feast. Okay, we have the octopus. That was really good. We have the prawns, tuna, and this poor guy. Oh, poor bastard.
Thank you for watching the Crazy Travel Guys. Subscribe and comment where we should go next. Thank you for watching the Crazy Travel Guys. Subscribe and comment where we should go next.